So, as of lately, I've had a lot of people who just have been coming in, and I'm not calling anybody out. It's just a general kind of blanketed thing where people have a lot of root and sacral chakra traumas. The root chakra is associated with your mom. So those first 7 years of your life, your mom, the way she loved you, the way she looked at you, the way she cared for you, and or lack thereof of any of that, really dictates how your root chakra develops. Those next 7 years are that's sacral chakra energy. So your root chakra is your stability in this world. Your sacral chakra is your connection. So it's like people who, like, I don't know if you ever heard the term like daddy issues and things like that, and it's always associated with young girls who are like promiscuous, or young boys who are, well, I never really hear it in the society we live. It's never put on a boy, but it's those issues. And that is exactly the same. The way your father loved you, if he was there, if he cared about you, if he took care of you, or if he didn't do any of that. So, and then your next one is your solar plexus, your personal power. It comes in that next 7 years. So we got 7, 14, 21. So the years leading up to 21 is your personal power based on the way your mom did her job, your dad did his job, and the way your body, your energy translated it. So it's like that solar plexus, that's your personal power. It's you. And then, of course, the next few years, your other chakras develop. Your heart chakra, throat, third eye, your crown. It's like all of those come from those first two, your humble beginnings when you were a kid, when your parents were raising you. I think that if we heal those wounds, society would be better. If we just get to the root of it, go back to the root, back to childhood, back to birth, back to the beginning of life, like things would be so much better. So for those who are listening, if I decide to ever put this out, I'm not sure. But for those who are listening, if you have children, take care of them, please. Love them. Don't be too busy for them. Don't put things in front of them. Remember that they are direct reflections of you. And our childhood, those first 7 years, we can be taught anything. And hey, my baby. Ooh, thank you. Speaking of babies, my baby just walked in. Hold on. They literally, like, the first 7 years of life, I'm sorry, I'm back. The first 7 years of life, kids are like little robots. We program all these things into them. So it makes sense why mom has those first 7 years, because we're more in feminine energy, and with feminine energy comes empathy and compassion and all of this incredible things. Not saying that men don't have that. All I'm saying is women have it stronger. It's one of our superpowers. So the way you love and nurture and nourish your child in those first 7 years have a lot of merit on the rest of their lives. And some people think that that's like whatever, because they're only 7. Those are the years you don't remember. You don't remember them per se, but they're ingrained into you. And a lot of times it's trauma that makes you not remember them. Neglect or abuse or all these things. For those who were raised in like the 90s and the 80s, child abuse was what happened to us. You know what I mean? Like, child abuse was a part of life. It was a struggle. And everybody who was born like in the 2000s came from a more loving space, I believe. hard, but a more loving space because from under my own circumstance, like speaking for myself, I feel like I was raised in a lot of trauma. And then when I began to have children, I realized that there were certain traumas and things that I just didn't want my kids to have to experience. I realized that, number one, they're people. They have thoughts, opinions, and feelings that are outside of my own. I did not have them for my own ego. Like, they have their own thoughts. They have their own opinions. They have their own feelings. And we have to nurture and nourish that. And they're like little reflections of us. People ask me, like, how did I get my kids reading at 2? I paid attention to them. I read books to them. I pointed at the words while we were reading. I made learning fun. I talked to them like they were people. I explained things to them and not act like they couldn't understand. I talked to them whether they understood it or not. And they begin to develop amazing communication skills. So it's all about talking. Those first 7 years are vital. Talk to your children. Teach them about love. Teach them about loving themselves. Talk about things that may feel uncomfortable because maybe you weren't raised in the sense of that. Remember that they're people. They're just like tiny, tiny people. So I want to begin with self-love is very important. Self-love is so important. Like, if we lived in a world where people love themselves, there would be so many less hurt people. A lot of people's hurt come from expecting other people to love them when they do not love themselves. And it's like, if you just love yourself, anything anyone gave you would be extra. You don't count on it or depend on it. If they gave it to you, it would be great, right? So self-love is an admiration and appreciation of yourself, your personality, identity, your preferences, your body, your beliefs, and more. Self-love is a byproduct of high self-esteem. When you have a positive sense of self and view yourself as worthy and of value, self-love comes naturally. That's why it's so important to build that solid foundation of self-esteem so that self-love can rise. Self-esteem is a phrase parents and caregivers hear a lot. Make sure your child has high self-esteem, but not too high, because, of course, that's where we go from high self-esteem to ego. Do things to boost your child's self-esteem, but don't do too much. Parents receive so many mixed messages about how to help their children love themselves. To add to the confusion, there are many terms that are used interchangeably when discussing self-love, like self-esteem, self-worth, confidence, and self-respect. It's no wonder there are so many books and blogs dedicated to this very topic. To fully understand what self-love is, it's helpful to define it along with common terms that are often used interchangeably with it. Each of these terms helps define and contribute to your awareness and evaluation of your worth, value, and capacity for success. But don't get caught up in the cinematics when discussing these things with your child. Feel free to just say self-love or self-esteem. So, self-compassion. The definition of that is how you relate to or treat yourself, the degree to which you are kind and forgiving towards yourself. Self-concept. The perception you have of yourself, the awareness of who you are. Self-confidence. The perception you have about your ability to face challenges, solve problems, and engage with the world. Self-efficiency. Your belief that you can succeed at certain tasks. Self-esteem. Your subjective view of your own worth or value and what you feel and believe about yourself. Self-image. How you see yourself, similar to self-concept. Self-love. The belief that you are worthy of love along with the actions and thoughts that demonstrate love and care towards yourself. Self-worth. Your perception of your worth in the world. Measuring self-love. Self-love is measurable and changes over time. It occurs on a spectrum and, like self-esteem, is often described as being high or low. Low self-love and self-esteem are characterized by low confidence, a feeling of having little control over one's choices or experiences, engaging in negative social comparison, not asking for or advocating for needs, worrying or self-doubt, difficulty accepting positive feedback, negative self-talk, negative outlook on the view of the world, lack of boundaries, engaging in people-pleasing. But on the other hand, high self-love and self-esteem are characterized by high confidence, engaging in appropriate social comparison or self-comparison, standing up for oneself and advocating in needs, positive and realistic self-talk, positive and realistic outlook and view on the world and self, setting and respecting boundaries, accepting positive feedback, and engaging in appropriate self-evaluation. There are many factors that work together to influence self-esteem and self-love. Age, socioeconomic status, genetics, physical abilities and disabilities, social experiences, chronic stress, relationships. Those are all things that affect it. While there are so many factors that impact self-love, where should you put your focus when it comes to helping children? On the factors that you can control, of course. While we may not be able to control genetics, physical abilities, socioeconomic status, we can directly impact the relationships and social experiences that children have in their lives. So, as we think about the factors that impact self-love, it's important to take a look at how self-love develops and with these factors in mind. Why is it important? Self-esteem and self-love impact how we make decisions, the relationships we have and maintain our emotional health, the risks we take, our motivation, and our overall well-being.